On behalf of DAV Group of Schools Chennai, we welcome you all to this career guidance webinar series panel discussion on NEET exam and UG counseling for MBBS, BDS, Ayush through All India quota seats and Tamil Nadu counselings. Before we start today's webinar, let us energize ourselves with a mantra which gives us energy, keeps us focused. Let us all join and chant Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam
Bhargo Devasya
Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Take up one idea, make that one idea your life. Think of it, dream of it, live on that idea. Let the brain, muscles, nerves, and every part of your body be full of that idea. This is the way to success, said Swami Vivekananda. We are here to endorse that. This is a career guidance session for students who have cleared the NEET exam and are waiting for their counseling to begin. It is also a session for the students who are going to take up medicine as career and have got a long way to go in putting up hard work to clear the NEET exam. Namaste, I am N. Lakshmi from DAV Boys School, and I take immense pleasure in inviting the distinguished panelists, Dr. Sridhar, Dr. Preeti, Mr. Amitesh, and Mr. Ayush, and also the organizing committee members and the attendees. Dr. Sridhar, MBBS, MD, FRCA, FFICM, Critical Care Consultant, Intensivist, Kaveri Hospital, is the distinguished panelist here, the first distinguished panelist. We welcome you, sir. We have amidst us Dr. Preeti, who is a dentist and a researcher working in regenerative medicine. She is an active alumnus of DAV Group of Schools who is volunteering in several initiatives of school. We welcome you, ma'am. Mr. Amitesh Krishna and Mr. Ayush, both are our alumnus of DAV Group of Schools. Mr. Amitesh Krishna is an alumnus of DAV Gopalapuram School and is in 4th year of his medicine. He is currently associated with Government Omandurar Medical College and Hospital. He is a volunteer who is willing to guide MBBS aspirants to fulfill their dreams. Mr. Ayush Butra has completed his schooling from DAV Boys Mogapere in 2020 and is currently studying in first year MBBS at CMC Vellore. He had scored 655 in the NEET exam. Let me now give the broad outline of the proceedings of the webinar. There are going to be 3 talks today. The first talk by Mr. Ayush, the second by Mr. Amitesh, and the third by Dr. Sridhar. The talks will be followed by question answer session. The attendees may be please aware of the screen in front of you. You will be having a QA box. Please type in your queries in the QA box. The questions you type will be taken up at the end of the session. May I now request Mr. Ayush to address the gathering.
Can I, once again, I share my screen. Ma'am, could you see my screen?
Yes, Mr. Ayush, we are able to see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, namaste to all the panelists, the organizers, the parents and students here. I am Ayush Bhutra, first year MBBS in. So I'll be explaining about the All India counseling process and how what should be done. So after the exam is over, the results are out. So the expected All India counseling will be from the end of this month, November. So there are four steps of All India counseling. So there will be round one, round two, round mop up round, and say vacancy round. So the first two rounds are very important. All the students who are willing to go for the All India colleges and all should register themselves. So there will be the website is neet.nta.nic.in. So you go there and you register yourself as a fresh registration because people would have registered into NMC before it. So you register yourself as fresh registration. So in the when you register, there are four steps of registration. Register yourself, there ask you some documents and all, like your NEET marks and everything. You register yourself. You give your they will there'll be a fee payment for 10 I think 10,000 for the general people and 5,000 for the reserved people. So yeah, so there'll be this amount. If you are getting any seat, it will be given to you back. This is just a deposit, and then am I still sharing the screen?
Please go ahead. Yes, it is seen.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yeah, yes, ma'am. So yes, so there then comes choice filling, which is the most important step of this registration, which I'll explain in detail about it later. And then there is after all this, you will be allotted seats. The people in merit will be allotted seats. So what are the colleges and how many seats are available? It's like so the 15% of all the state government seats you have. For example, MMC Madras Medical College has 250 seats in all. So out of that, 15% of the seats will be allotted for all India counseling. Rest 85% of the seats will go for state counseling. So all the state government colleges, 15% seats. The national institutes like BHU and Aligarh Medical Colleges, and then the dental colleges, all will come under this. 100% seats of those will come under this counseling, and all the seats of JIPMER, and there are two JIPMER Pondicherry and Karikal both, and all the AIMS colleges and ESIC colleges, all these comes under this counseling. And also for the Delhi colleges like Monazar, all. So 15% goes to the All India counseling people, and 85 goes for the Delhi internal. That is like state counseling, but happens along with the All India counseling. So after this, your seats are get allotted. So there are two options. One, you either get your seat, and one, you don't get any seat. So if you don't get any seat, you are still in the race of round two counseling. And if you get a seat, you have two options. One is you either pre-exit because you don't want that college, or one, you join the college and ask for upgradation. Suppose you like that college, you need not upgrade that college, but you want a better college in the priority list before what you have selected, you ask upgradation. So here you need to be very careful is because so when you have given the seat for upgradation, first thing is ma'am. Yes. So yeah, 1 minute, ma'am. One second.
Lakshmi, make sure whether Ayush is on board or did we lose? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Did we lose connect or can we give it to the next participant? Please make sure.
Got disconnected, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Yeah, he's back.
am I still in the meeting?
Yeah, yes, Ayush. You can continue.
Yeah. So yes, ma'am. So after so once you get once your seat is allotted, you join the college, and you ask for upgradation of the college if you want any upgradation. So you wait for your second round counseling. So the thing is, once you get any second, if you don't get any upgradation in the second round counseling, you are stuck with this first round whatever college you have got. So yeah, so you cannot come out of this now. So whoever has got the college in second round are not allowed to come out of the counseling session, and you are not more allowed to participate in state counseling or any other counseling sessions. So here then comes the mop-up round. So the mop-up round is not for so the 15% state government colleges and all gets over. So the mop-up round only is for the AIMS college, JIPMER colleges, and the deemed colleges. So yes, so people need to register themselves. People need to register themselves again, and people who have registered themselves for round one, round two also have to register themselves, and they can change their options. And people who have not participated in round one, round two can also join themselves. So and then last comes the final stay vacancy round. So in this call, suppose there is JIPMER, only one seat, JIPMER Jodhpur, only one seat is left. So the 10 times the number of seats left, the number of people will be called, and this is purely based on merit, no reservation, anything like that. It's purely based on merit, so people will come, and this will happen offline, not online counseling. And after round two counseling, the leftover seats goes to the state counseling. Yeah. So I wanted to talk more about the choice filling. Choice filling is because so I preferably say that whatever you want to opt for colleges, go for the colleges not from your state. Because if you think you can get a college in your state, don't preferably go for, and you don't want to go for any college out of your state, don't go for all India counseling. And if you want to go for colleges around the country, then you can opt for this, because once you are joined, once you get the college, you cannot opt out. Because suppose you get Stanley Medical College in All India Counseling, but you know with Stanley in All India Counseling, you can easily get Madras Medical College in state counseling. But if you have joined Stanley Medical College through All India Counseling, you cannot come out, and people are stuck with that. And many people have lost their hope of getting into Madras Medical College. This has happened in front of me when I was in counseling. So this is very important point for people to remember. And please choose your colleges wisely. I have put the colleges also. So yeah, this is what I wanted to say in brief. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ayush, for the information provided. I hope it will be useful for all our attendees. I would like to remind all the attendees here again that you can post your queries, your doubts in the Q&A box. The questions will be taken up at the end of the session.
Ma'am, one more point I would like to
Yes,
add
please
is,
go ahead.
for people who wanted to go to Armed Force Medical College, it's a very strange thing that. So I opted for Armed Force Medical College, and I thought there will be a separate. They will inform us when to go for Armed Force Medical College. But the strange thing is that you will get an email through your or there will be an AFMC website where you need to go and search your name if you have been selected for the counseling session. So Armed Force Medical Counseling is different from all the state counseling. There is no interview around there. So in that Armed Force Medical College, at least 1,000 people have been selected for interview round, and you need to and your date are different from others day. So you need to go there, and there is 2-day interview happening there. So this Armed Force Medical College list comes prior to the rank list, what you the college allotment list. It comes immediately after your at least 3-4 days before the all India allotted list. So whoever has opted for Armed Force Medical College, please make sure you regularly check your AFMC website for that.
Thank you, Mr. Ayush, for the information, added information. That will be definitely useful to our attendees here. May I now request Mr. Amitesh Krishna to address the gathering?
Namaste to all the panelists. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, can we see Amitesh for a minute, and then if you want, you can switch off your video?
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah, namaste, Amitesh. You can go ahead.
Okay, ma'am. At the outset, I would like to thank the management of school, Vikas Arya sir, Shanti Ashokan ma'am, for giving me this opportunity. So I'll just be brushing through the procedure for the state counseling, and as well as I'll just touch the other aspects of, studying medicine in other countries, as well as the Ayush courses. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Is my screen visible, ma'am?
Yes, Mr. Amitesh.
So this is my presentation. People think that medical education, getting into medicine is very difficult. It is so cumbersome. But I feel with the right guidance and with the amount of bountiful resources available today, it can be extremely simplified. So I'll just start up with the seat matrix. So this is an extremely good news for this year's applicants, because Tamil Nadu has upgraded the number of colleges from 23. This is a seat matrix for 2020. From 23, the number has gone to 25. 25 pure government medical colleges, including Karur and Kallakurichi, have come into counseling. Next year, it will be more the merrier, because Tiruvallur and also other districts have also started getting their government medical colleges. So the number of seats will increase. So hence the cutoff might go down a bit for the next 2 years. But then once the seat number becomes static, the cutoff will start going higher. So I'll just touch upon the division of seats. So already the previous speaker, Mr. Ayush, has made my job easier in this aspect. So the pure government seats, self-financing government seats, management quota. So all these three will come under the state quota seats. The 15% government seats which the state submitted to the central government and the deemed university counseling will come under all India quota. So for these two seats, you will have to use the MCC website. And for all these three seats, it will be offline counseling, but the preparatory work for the counseling would be online, and the website would be TNMGR-MU, Tamil Nadu MGR Medical University website. So this is the broad categories of seats available in India. So I am just restricting myself to the state of Tamil Nadu, and the All India quota procedure has already been beautifully explained by Mr. Ayush Bothra. So what are the steps? So this is an additional step which people from 2019, they have started this additional step, the eligibility certificate. So who all must get the eligibility certificate? The criteria is, even if you have studied in Tamil Nadu from LKG to +2, but you have studied in other boards other than the state board, you have to get eligibility certificate. That is, if you have written your exam, which is not conducted by the HSC, Higher Secondary Certificate exam, which is conducted by the Tamil Nadu government. If you have written any other exam be it AISSCE, which is conducted by the CBSE, or an ICSE exam, or any other equivalent exam, you have to get the eligibility certificate. And for this year's counseling procedure, the eligibility certificate application has already begun. So you can just go to TNMGRMU website. You can just Google eligibility certificate. You have to pay a fees of 1,400 plus GST. Apply for the eligibility certificate, and within a week or so, you will get the eligibility certificate. Once you get your eligibility certificate, this is important because you have to submit it. The copy of this eligibility certificate has to be submitted along with your application. So this eligibility certificate is a very crucial step. Please do not delay it, because once the once the deadline is over, they will not be issuing your EC. And even if you get your EC late, if the deadline for application gets over, you will not be able to apply properly. So for smooth counseling process, get your EC now. The application for EC has started. Then you have, so once you get your eligibility certificate and other documents, you have it already with you. So the process, all the application downloading, the process is online now. Due to COVID, the application downloading process is alone online, but anyhow, the counseling happens offline. So for that, you need a demand draft of 500. If it is going to be, to get the application form, it is 500 separately for the government quota and management quota. So if you wish to apply for both government quota and management quota, you need 2 separate DDs of 500 each. And then you get the application, you fill in the application. So what is the most important part about filling the application is, the application has to be filled properly or else it will get rejected. So how can you fill it properly? The Tamil Nadu government actually gives a clearly explained brochure along with the application and the other, they give 2 applications, one card. The card is like a postcard. You have to fill everything and send it. The instructions will be clearly given in the brochure. The brochure will be around 45 pages. Please go through the brochure clearly once or twice before starting your application process. The brochure can also be downloaded from the TNMGRMU website. So once you get the brochure, you will also have the idea about what is the fee structure. I have to tell you that for people who are getting into the self-financing colleges, that is the government quota from the self-financing colleges, your tuition fee will only be prescribed by the government. That will be the only fee which will be mentioned in the brochure. Please don't get carried away when they say it is only 3 lakh fees per annum. That is only your tuition fee. Apart from that, the other fee, either establishment fee, student development fee, hostel fee, all these fees can be decided by the college management. This actually applies for pure government college also. So pure government college, my first year fees, the prescribed fees was 13,600. That is like throughout Tamil Nadu, all the pure government seats, the first year fee is 13,600. But once you go to the college, according to the college's, the management's decision, they will have separate fees and you will have to pay all the fees accordingly. So please don't get carried away by the fees mentioned in the brochure. That is only for the tuition fee. So then so I'll just go to the next procedure. This is a detailed slide with the procedure. So you get the eligibility certificate and then you get your application brochure. You have gone through the brochure, you're filling in the application. Once you're filled in the application, you're just going to send it to the selection committee, which is there in Keelpark, along with the demand draft of 500. If you're applying for the management quota, then a demand draft of 1,000 rupees. You go there, they'll call you for the counseling. Once it is done, a rank list will be released. So now, once the rank list is released, you will get an idea of where you are. Based on the rank list, you will be called on the either day 1 of the counseling or day 2 of the counseling, or either, this is the first round, day 1, day 2. Then you will have second round, day 1, day 2, so on. And same way, your time also will be mentioned. It will be in 3 slots. It will be morning 9 to 11, 12 to 4, and 4 to 7. These will be the slots. So you will be given a slot also on that day. On particular time, you will have to report to the counseling site. So last year it took place in Nehru Stadium. Highly likely, even this year it will take place in Nehru Stadium adhere to the COVID protocol. They'll hold it in Nehru Stadium. Once you get your call letter, you report to the venue. And once you just to the venue, you have to take all your original documents, because in the counseling process, you will have a step called verification also. Only after verification, you will be allowed to opt the college. So there'll be 3 separate halls. As the queue moves, you will go from one hall to the other. Maybe this time it's not a hall, it will be an open space. You will move from one place to the other, and then you will go to a verification desk. In the verification desk, you will be verified once if you have completed your 12th standard. That is from 6th standard to 12th standard. If you have studied in Tamil Nadu, your verification process will be only once. But if you have gone to some other state and if you have come again, they will verify your documents twice to ensure domicile certificate, and then they'll send you to the opting point where you will be sitting. There'll be computers. You will be opting in the computer. So there will be people to guide you. You just go and sit there. You will not operate the computer. There'll be people there. There'll be around 7 to 10 computers. At a time, 10 people will sit. But anyhow, even if you sit, even if there are 10 computers, it will be only according to the rank. You will not be able to allow to opt first. The previous rank will be allowed to opt first, even if there are 10 computers or any number of computers. So you'll go and sit there. They'll ask you, they'll just display all the colleges where you will have the seat. According to your category, the seat numbers will be displayed. Say, suppose you belong to the open category, all the open category seats of all colleges will be displayed in the screen. So now from the screen, you will just choose one seat, whichever seat you want. But make sure you can take time. You can even ask them, because they'll also be doctors. Those who are guiding you would be doctors. So if you have, if you're caught between 2 choices, or if you feel that you're in a dilemma, you can ask them, should I choose this college, or will this be better, or will that be better? You can ask them. Some people do help. Some people refrain from helping, but some people do help. So you can make a decision. You can choose it. Once you choose it, immediately there'll be a big screen, big LED screen, which will be there in front of you. It will not just be there in front of you. An LED screen will be placed on each section where the candidates are seated. And also one LED screen will be placed in the entrance of the counseling site. In all the LED screens, immediately the seat you have opted will be displayed. So for example, I have opted Omandara Medical College. So immediately it will show my photo, my name, my category, and the college I have opted. So it will show my photo, Amitesh Krishna, OC, Government Omandara Medical College. It will show in the LED screen everywhere, and immediately one seat will be deducted from the seat matrix according to the seat which I have opted. So this happens simultaneously. This is more or less a very transparent and a fair process. So this is the process. Once you have done it, then you will get an allotment order. So immediately you will go to the next table, just like the verification desk. After the counseling site, after opting it, you will go to a allotment site. So where you will be given an allotment order. This allotment order is very important. Once you receive your allotment order, you will be seated there for some time. Sometimes you don't get your allotment order immediately. It will be a printed copy, again with your name, with your NEET mark or your state rank, and the college you have opted with your category. Please check all these details in your allotment order. It will be prepared then and there. So there are high chances that there might be some errors in it. So please do check your allotment order, check your name, your spelling, the placement of your initial, whether it is in the front or at the back. Check your category, check your NEET marks or state rank, whichever is mentioned. Check the college you have chosen. So this allotment order is very important. Take around 4 to 5 Xerox copies of this allotment order, because throughout your first year, they might be asking it again and again. In between, I'm sure that from the year of 2018, we have had verifications, mid-year. Mid-year, someone will put a case in some court. They'll immediately say, okay, verify all the students if they are, if the domicility is proper or not. Someone will say that people from Kerala have come and taken state quota seats here. So immediately the court will direct the colleges to verify. So please keep the allotment order very safe. That is a very important document. The original will have to be submitted to the college. At the time of admission, you will submit the original copy to the college. So please take ample number of Xerox copies. So after getting the allotment order, you can leave the counseling site. Suppose you have completed your counseling in the first slot. Say you have completed by 11 a.m. You are all eligible to go and report to the college on the same day. On the allotment order, you will also have a date. That is the last date by which you have to report to the college. Since the counseling happens in Chennai, they will give you around 3 to 4 days time. Say suppose you have opted a college elsewhere. Say you have opted Kanyakumari Medical College. So you will be given 3 to 4 days time. The date will also be mentioned in the allotment order. Within that date, go to the college, report. There they'll have another verification process. You will sign a bond. There'll be 2 agreements which you have to sign, and according to that medical college's management, they will tell you all the extra fee of 13,600 should not be submitted at the counseling site. It has to be submitted at the college. This was one problem which came in last year. Someone, he was just a quack. He just went into the counseling site and he was telling, okay, submit your DDs to me. So that is how people cheat you. So do not submit the 13,600 DD at the counseling site. That is only at the college. Along with the 13,600, whatever the fee the college prescribes and the mode of transaction also. It need not necessarily be through DD. It can be through cash or check. So according to that, whatever they instruct you, you will do it at the college site. So this is in a nutshell about MBBS counseling process. Same applies for BDS also. Coming to management quota. So management quota, you will have an extra 1,000 DD. Management quota counseling will take place after the state quota counseling. Okay. And the state quota round 1 counseling should ideally start after the second round counseling of All India quota. After the second round counseling of All India quota, all the seats which have not been taken up will be submitted to the state. And along with all those seats, they will conduct the counseling. But last year, what they did was Tamil Nadu started the counseling even before the All India quota counseling got completed. So whatever seats were left from the All India quota were added to the second round counseling of state quota. Anyhow, everyday seat matrix also can be viewed on the website of TNGRA Early Welfare website. In both the websites, you will be able to view the seats. Then, so as I already said, Tamil Nadu was the largest medical hub. You have 25 colleges. The least number of seats is in Omandurar, 100, and 250 in Madras Medical College, Stanley, Tirunelveli, Madurai. All of them have upgraded to 250. Tirunelveli and Madurai are taking up 250 from last 2 years. They had their seat capacity was 150. Now they have also increased to 250. Self-financing colleges also 100 to 150. PSG has upgraded to 250 seats. And then you have several deemed and deemed to be universities. Savita, Ramchandra, they are all deemed universities. Their counseling will come under MCC website. But why have I mentioned this? Tamil Nadu has the highest number of MBBS seats, and so is the fee. If you do not get a seat in government or management quota, don't feel dejected. Try to apply to the deemed universities of other states where the fee is comparatively less. In Ramchandra Medical College, the fee is 23 lakhs per annum. Again, I am quoting only the tuition fee. Apart from that, you will have a lot of other fee, but the same deemed universities offer MBBS seats at a lesser price, especially in Pondicherry. In Pondicherry, deemed university fee maximum is 13 lakhs per annum. So search throughout the nation. Don't get stuck with the deemed universities available in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu, yes, the medical education is expensive. The government education is the most cheapest in the nation. Like 13,600 is the least fee when compared to all the states. But deemed university, Tamil Nadu is extremely expensive. Then we have I have to touch on the other aspects too. So choosing on a medical school, what is the current scenario? There are a lot of people who ask me which school to. I did not get MMC. Can I stay with Stanley? Is Stanley good or is KMC good? Let me please be clear, for MBBS, any college is good. Any college is good for MBBS because MBBS is just your basis. For PG, definitely you have to choose a college with an extremely high patient inflow. But for MBBS, it's fine. Even if you get a seat, which is, say, for example, Kallakurichi Medical College. I'll just give you the difference between the two new medical colleges, Karur Medical College and Kallakurichi. Karur Medical College, the advantage is Karur already has a district headquarters hospital. Okay, district headquarters hospital is already there in Karur. Now it will get upgraded to a teaching hospital. Anyway, patients, even before the college came into picture, the patients would have been going to that hospital. So now anyway, the case inflow might increase or might stay the same, but it is not an entirely new hospital like Kallakurichi. In Kallakurichi, they are just opening the hospital. They are opening the college too. So basically, it will take some years for the college to develop in terms of infrastructure and the name to reach the public. So it will take some time for patient inflow, but it's fine. During MBBS, what I feel is maybe 10 years before, MBBS was extremely when we came out, when we graduate, it will be extremely difficult because we would have to done all the work throughout MBBS because PGs were not there in a lot of medical colleges. So undergraduates had to do a lot of work, a lot of intervention. But now most of the district hospitals have PG seats. So MBBS graduates are not expected to do a lot of work because they will be taking it over. So you need not worry about the patient inflow as far as UG is concerned. For PG, definitely patient inflow is important. And then why government? Definitely more than private. In government, you will have, I can't even find an adjective. You have plethora amounts of patients with different cases. You will be exposed to a lot of cases in a government medical college than a private medical college. But as I said, if you can afford a private medical college, go for it. You need not drop a year because we don't know what will happen next year. The cutoffs might go high. So if you can afford a private medical college, don't think that, okay, if I take a private medical college, I'll not be able to deal with a lot of patients. No, you can go for it. For MBBS, any college is fine. And yeah, don't get carried away by the media also. It is completely fine if you don't get a seat. You can drop a year. You can take a decision based on your priority. You can work hard and you can come back. So this is just whatever is happening in the media is just a hype. You need not get carried away by whatever is happening in the media. So next, apart from MBBS, we have other courses too. Dental sciences. In dental sciences, I would say government is the best. Why is government the best? Because unlike MBBS, that is the difference between MBBS and BDS. Unlike MBBS, when once I graduate, I will not be expected to do a lot of procedures. I will not be expected to do a lot of, I will not be expected at all to do any surgery. But in dental sciences, it's not like that. From second year, you are expected to do a lot of procedures on the patients directly. You will, during your internship period in dental sciences, you will be allowed to handle cases all alone, not just minor procedures, even a few major procedures you will be allowed to handle all alone. So it is very important that you get a lot of exposure. So government dental college is there near Paris Corner that has the highest number of case inflow. So it is better that you do it in a government medical college. Also, we would not go to a doctor or a hospital extremely necessary. So you can't expect a layman to come to a private dental college to shell out money for cosmetical reasons. Only if it is going to affect his or her daily routine extremely, only then the patient would consider coming to a hospital. So for UG level in dental sciences, in my opinion, the case inflow is very important. So it is better that you opt for a government college or in a private college. I've heard Savita Dental College in Kandalam has a very high case inflow. So you just see the amount of case inflow in each college before you choose, do the groundwork, and then go for the counseling. And then allied courses, you have physiotherapy, you have DMLT, you have various diploma, you have dialysis technician diploma, you have anesthesia technician diploma. In Tamil Nadu or probably in India, all these courses are underrated. But once you can complete your UG here, the options which are available for your PG after completing this allied courses in modern medicine is huge elsewhere, especially in the Western world. That is why I've specifically mentioned nurse practitioner or physician assistant. There are courses here even in Tamil Nadu, you have nurse practitioner courses, but I don't think you have positions in hospital which offer you work. Once you complete this course, if you can go to the Western world or even in Europe, you have a lot of positions which are opening for nurse practitioner or physician assistant. They are like a bridge between a nurse, a staff nurse, and a doctor. So that is also an extremely good course. And then you have Ayush. Ayush for Ayurveda, I feel, when you take up any professional course, you have to see what are the infrastructure available. So in Tamil Nadu for Ayurveda, the Ayurveda college in Tamil Nadu, the infrastructure is not so great. Why? Because the consumers are less in Tamil Nadu. So you have to go to a place where people trust Ayurveda a lot. So that is in Kerala. In Kerala, you have government colleges, also private colleges like Amrita Institute. They are doing a great job. So once the consumer list increases, even the management, be it government or private, they will employ new techniques and new infrastructure. So in Kerala, Ayurveda is good. In Tamil Nadu, Siddha is good, but again, Ayurveda has the highest number of in Ayush. Ayurveda has the highest number of patient inflow. And then for Siddha, you can take Tamil Nadu. Yoga and Naturopathy, the college which is there in Arumbakam, does have some good infrastructure, but the patient inflow is very less. So for Yoga and Naturopathy, there are a lot of institutes in Uttarakhand. They are very good. People, even from foreign nations, come to India for this therapy. You will get a lot of exposure in North India. Homeopathy is quite distributed. Nothing much for homeopathy. There are good colleges in Karnataka also for homeopathy. I forgot the name of the college. I'm not getting it right now, but I'll definitely put it across through the group, the name of the college. In Bangalore, there's one good college for homeopathy. Acupuncture is just budding now. Not a lot of people are coming to acupuncture, is because one thing, it is more of a diploma like course, and it is not Ayurveda, Siddha, Yoga and Naturopathy. There are either 4 or 4.5, 5 years courses, but acupuncture is still a diploma course. So people have that hesitancy to take up that course. Chiropractic is new. It is not in India. It is very well spread in China, Malaysia, and Singapore. A lot of people go for chiropractic. That is actually a very good course. I mean, patient inflow is very high. So these are the courses available apart from modern medicine. And of course, MBBS around the world. I would strongly advise against taking up MBBS elsewhere. Why? Because the process of getting back to India is very difficult. Be it, see, in Russia is the largest hub if you are going to go outside India. America is extremely costly to do undergraduation. So if you're going to go to Russia, I have had in-person conversations with people who are foreign medical graduates. All those FMGs who came from Russia, that's what they feel is the government there is, it's a communist government. So people will not accept our race. You can go there, but you will not be given a chance to work. You will be able to gain as much as theory knowledge, but it is very difficult to gain practical knowledge. They would accept a white person touching them or a Russian touching them than any other person touching them. So it is better that you do it in India. Kazakhstan, Ukraine, and Philippines, they all have an extremely high inflow of Indian students. Philippines takes about 2,000 Indian students every year. They have 7-8 batches. The problem with Philippines, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan is on the face, they say the fees is very less. But once you go there, every 4 months or 5 months, they'll say visa renewal. They'll say some or the other thing, and they'll say a reason which you can't deny. Visa renewal is definitely, you cannot deny. You have to pay them. So every 4 or 6 months, you'll be asked to pay a lot of fee. Also for Philippines, for the first 6 months, you will be in Pune. In Pune, they'll teach you all the basic sciences. They'll teach you anatomy and they'll teach you physiology. Only after 6 months, you will be allowed to go to Philippines. In Ukraine and Kazakhstan, the process is more or less the same. And in Russia, one more important thing in Russia is the course is for 6 years. Once you go there for the first 4 months, you will be asked to learn the Russian language. The same holds for China also. In Russia and China, even if they know English, they will not speak English. They will speak only their national language. You will be expected to learn it thorough. In Philippines, it's more or like India. You will have a lot of people from Tamil Nadu there. In fact, the exact word I got from the FMG was, it is just like Tamil Nadu because you'll have a lot of Tamil restaurants also there. But in Russia and China, it's not the case. In Russia and China, even if they know other languages, they will not speak. And if you start speaking in English, they'll start looking down upon you. So you have to speak in a language which they are comfortable. Of course, medical sciences is building trust with the patient. So you need to speak in their language. In Russia and China, that is a great problem. You will be expected to learn the language and you have to write an exam. If you don't pass, you will be sitting and learning the language only, and you will not get into medical sciences. That all the expense, extra expense, like if you're going to stay for 4 more months to learn the language, that expense has to be, you have to bear all those expenses. So all these things make MBBS outside India more difficult. I have also been in a position where I decided to take MBBS in Russia, but then thank God I did not take it. I dropped a year and again tried. So it is not a good option. Once you complete your MBBS there, the process to get your registration number in India is also cumbersome. In Russia, you do not have good post-graduation. You will be able to do your undergraduation only. You will have to return after your student, the student visa gets over. You have to return here. You have to come here. According to the latest rules, you will have to do 1 year of internship in India. So already you are spending 6 years in Russia to learn MBBS. You will have to do 1 year of internship here to get your degree validated. Before doing your internship, you have to write an exam called as FMGE, Foreign Medical Graduate Examination. So you have to write that exam. That exam is conducted twice a year. You have to write it. The clearance rate is very less. Even if you write it, it's very difficult to get through the process. So say you're spending 1 year in preparation and then taking up exam, then you have to do 1 year of internship to get your registration number. So it will take 8 years to get your registration number in India if you do it from elsewhere. It's better to drop a year and try it in India rather than go out of India. Let's just keep it as a last option to do it. Maybe if you feel you can afford to go abroad and do undergraduation, the best option would be Caribbean Islands. Caribbean Islands, if you do your MBBS there, it is more chances of you doing your post-graduation in America, which is definitely fruitful. So if at all you want to go abroad, try for Caribbean Islands, but elsewhere it's very difficult. Even after coming here, you have to pay around 2 lakhs to NMC to get your the internship opportunity. You have to pay 2 lakhs, and then you have to pay the college also, where you will be interning along with Indian students. Say in my college, there are around 18 FMGs along with 100 students of my own college. So these are the people who are interning right now. All these 100 students will be getting a stipend every month, but FMGs are not entitled to any stipend. You will have to pay, but you will not be given any stipend from the government side. So in any aspect, I feel going out of India to do MBBS is not so good. Do not get carried away by any agency which tells you you can get a seat easily. It's only 2 lakhs per month. Yes, the tuition fee is only 2 lakhs per month. But every year, if you start traveling from the place to India, everything will amount up to the same fee structure of a deemed university in India. So anyway, you will have to shell out around 80 lakhs if you're going to do it in abroad. That is the same as a normal deemed university in India. So keep your priorities open, research, and then choose a seat. This slide I have put it last. This is only about MBBS. I'm not speaking about the other courses available in these colleges. There is a list of colleges which are preferred in Tamil Nadu. MMC, after MMC, the South, the MMC of South Tamil Nadu is Madurai Medical College. It has a lot of infrastructure with all, I think it has a lot of super specialty courses also. Then you have Stanley, you have Tirunelveli, KMC, Tanjavur, Romandurar, and other districts. So I'm again telling you the same line with which I started. For MBBS, it doesn't matter. Any college you choose, you will be only exposed to a certain number of cases, which you are expected to know when you graduate out of MBBS. Your eyes cannot see what your mind doesn't know. It is a very vast, each super specialty is an ocean. You will not be able to, just because you're an MMC, you will not be able to handle any super specialty courses. For our level, because I was also carried away with all these things. I'm just telling because these were the mistakes which I was about to make or which I made. So do not get carried away. You are expected to know only certain facts which any college in Tamil Nadu can train you. So don't worry about whether it has a postgraduate course, whether it has a super specialty course. In fact, in my opinion, if you get into a college without a postgraduate course, you will be allowed to do a lot of work. You will be allowed to, you will gain more experience. If there is a postgraduate course there, only the postgraduates will be given priority over you. So do not get into the, I should get into the top college. No, any college you get into, if you work well, that's enough. I don't think the college name makes a great difference as far as UG is concerned. And in your final graduation, the certificate, it will come only as Dr. Tamil Nadu MGR Medical University. Your college name will not be mentioned. So don't worry about the top list. Don't get carried away. Don't stress yourself that you have to get only into the top college. For UG, I feel it is not the hierarchy doesn't matter. So yeah, it is definitely a big decision, but research well and then take a decision so that you don't regret later. Thank you.
Thank you, Amitesh. It was a highly informative talk, and you could provide us intricate information about the counseling, and you could take us through the entire process of admission. And not only that, you have also touched upon the various courses that are available, and also the advantages and disadvantages of doing medicine inside India and outside India. Definitely this talk would be of great use to many.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We now welcome Srimati Shanti Ashokan, Director, Education and Innovation, to introduce our distinguished speaker, Dr. Sridhar.
Namaste. Namaste, everyone. Namaste, Dr. Sridhar. Pleasure having you as a panelist today. Dr. Sridhar, Head of Critical Care Services at Kaveri Hospital. He obtained his undergrad and post-graduation degree at the most sought MMC, most preferred MMC, Madras Medical College. And then he completed his advanced training in critical care in the UK and worked there for around 15 years. And beyond which, Dr. Sridhar is here, giving his yeoman's service to mankind in his motherland, in our country, in our place in Chennai. So we are very proud of you, Doctor. And Dr. Sridhar is a part of our Prashasti Medical Initiative of DAV, rendering his voluntary services. So we are very happy to have you. And over to you, Doctor, for your guidance and motivation.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction. So I've just been asked to give overall guidance to the people who are taking NEET now. But I think I've been rendered useless by the fantastic talks that Ayush and Amitesh has given from their current perspectives. And I have very little to add to what they have said, but I shall try. So if you can change the slide, please. So NEET is an umbrella term which includes a variety of courses, not just MBBS and BDS. And Amitesh has gone to great detail over this. Can you pass on to the next slide, please? The number of medical colleges currently are about 554, 315 dental colleges with about 83,000 MBBS seats and nearly 30,000 BDS seats. Next slide, please. Yeah, so Amitesh has destroyed the slide of this presentation, saying that it doesn't matter which college you go to, as long as you do your training well and you work hard and come through it. And on balance, I think what he is saying with just 3 or 4 years of experience, I think on the whole, I would tend to agree with what he said, because he's saying it from his perspective. And I have also seen it. I have seen my colleagues who are doing well, either in getting postgraduate seats or currently in the hospital I work in, or in doing my training in UK. They were all not necessarily from the top medical colleges. They were from a cross section of medical colleges all across India. And all of them who did well were generally those who had the right attitude and dedication to what they were doing. I think while the academic system is currently focused predominantly on marks and scholastic aptitudes, how much we rise through life does not depend just on aptitude. The altitude you reach will depend a large amount on your attitude once you go through your undergraduate training. And I think Amitesh hit the nail on the head. But I've been asked to talk about what medical colleges we could choose if you could make the choice. So the rank of the college is now being determined by an institute called National Institute Ranking Framework. Or there are about 550 medical colleges, as I discussed before, but only about 150 are taking part in this. So just because it's not included in this National Institute ranking does not mean the medical college is bad. It may be because the medical college has still not taken part in this. Patient inflow is important. Once again, as Amitesh said, we can learn so much from textbooks, and that is only limited. The only time you really learn, your real textbooks are teachers. So hospitals with existing patient inflows would tend to be a better ground for improving your practical knowledge. And although there is this perception that hospitals which are bigger and have got more super specialties are better, it may not necessarily be true. Like was mentioned by one of the previous speakers, sometimes when there is nobody else to do the job, you're called in to do the job. So when I was training, Chengalpet Medical College was just coming up, and people who trained there did not have any postgraduates. So they would get to take part in more surgeries because there's nobody else to do what is required. So their experience was more than what we had. On the other hand, when I was studying MMC, we had a lot of specialties in our hospital. And one of the advantage of having this is you get a feel, you get a flavor. It's like going through a buffet and you get a feel of various foods, and then you decide what you like most. And one of the things that I found is subconsciously you will find people there who influence you more. You say, oh, I like that doctor, I like that chief, I like the resident surgeon, and I would like to have them as a role model, and I would like to end up where they are right now. So the more specialists have, the more chances you meet somebody who's going to be a role model and somebody whom you want to emulate in your future career path. Location, extremely important. Is it close to home? Do I have to stay in a hostel? Do I have to think about how many buses or how many flights I have to change before I get back home? I'm a Chennai boy, so MMC was very close and it had a direct train connection to my home, so it was very convenient for me at that time. And tuition fees, hostel fees, miscellaneous fees. And once again, Amitesh in his wonderful presentation said, don't be carried away by the tuition fees alone. For seats in private medical colleges, even under government quota, there are additional fees that might come in and they might push your charges up. It's always worthwhile speaking to students from these colleges to get an idea of what the total fees are, so there are no nasty surprises there. Age of the medical college goes without saying. Some things just get better with age. So the college, as it grows older, patients get to know about it more. There are more patients coming in. The super specialty services goes up. And generally, the older medical colleges are considered and in practice better than the newer medical colleges. The number of PG courses, naturally, once again, this may not have a direct relation to what you're doing, but it gets you to have a flavor. You know, when you have a complex case, it's nice to see what the general doctor will do, and also nice to see what the super specialist will have to add. This will no way influence your undergraduation. So your undergraduation does not depend on PG courses, but it's nice to have a flavor. This complex patient, we didn't know what to do, but we called the super specialist and he was able to do this. He or she was able to do this. Also to take into account are the bonds that are currently being asked by certain colleges. I think CMC, Vellore and AFC insists on a bond. So we need to be aware of this before making a college that suits in with your choices. Some of these colleges also offer quotas for postgraduate studies, which are very useful. And the stipend, I would not place much emphasis on this, but it is nice to, we all enter medicine and it's usually quite a while before you start seeing money. Your engineering friends or your friends who have entered into other courses are earning much more early than you. So it's nice to say, okay, finally I can afford that shoes I've been looking at a long time. So stipend is not clearly an important criteria, we just put it at the bottom, but it's nice to know that there'll be some money coming in after all the hard work you put in. Next slide, please. So we talked about the college factors, so which one is good and what it offers, but equally important are the personal factors. One, what are you comfortable doing it? Would you like to be in a place where it is closer to home, so you don't have to go and stay in a hostel, stay in a different environment, and you can focus on going to the college that is local and coming back, or whether going to the hostel also has some additional features. So I, for instance, was protected. I didn't go and stay in a hostel. But my friends who were staying in a hostel, they were more mature than me. They were much more independent than me. They knew how to handle money faster than me. I mean, you learn all this during the course of your life, but generally there are pluses and minuses wherever you are. So I enjoyed home food. I could come back home and relax and be with my family. Whereas these people were more mature, more exposed to the various things in life. And generally, I think staying in hostel also has got quite a few pluses. So there are personal choices to be made as well, not just the medical college. Next slide, please. National Medical Commission is new. It just started last year. It replaces the IMA, which had various faults, and the National Medical Commission seeks to improve on those. And you must only join colleges which are accredited to the NMC. All government medical colleges are, and most private medical colleges are. And NMC accreditation is a must for your college before you join. Next slide, please. I spoke about the National Institution Ranking Framework, but out of 500 medical colleges, only 120 medical colleges have applied, and they are the only ones that are ranked. And some very good medical colleges like Stanley and Osmania Medical College and all have not even applied to be ranked, so they will not be in this ranking. Gradually, more and more medical colleges will come on board, but as of now, let us look at what the NIRF ranking has of the colleges that have applied. So the top 50 medical colleges are, the top 3 are more or less the same. You have AIIMS, we have JIPMER, we have PGI and CMC. So these have always been in the top, and the NIRF ranking just confirms these. The rest of the colleges are the ones that did well in the scoring. I should also put a list of top 10 medical colleges. Once again, this is based on word of mouth, the fact that they've been around for a long time, and that definitely their educational training is good. Next slide, please. So what about Tamil Nadu? The NIRF ranking states that these are the top colleges. And you can see Stanley Medical College is not there, although it's clearly, I would consider one of the top medical colleges. And there's always a bit of friendly rivalry between Madras Medical College and Stanley Medical College, and I think it still continues. Thank you. Next slide, please. And central government central government colleges are always highly regarded. AIIMS, PGI, JIPMER, they're always in the top. NIMHANS, predominantly a neuroscience institute, but also a highly regarded institute. And plethora of AIIMS have now come over. I think AIIMS Delhi is the most popular, and Jodhpur after that, but quite a few colleges. And once again, the older ones are much more highly regarded. Thank you. Next slide, please. Other options, once again, Amitesh has touched on all these. So there are a variety of other options related to healthcare. And I share Amitesh's thoughts on this. So I run a critical care department, and the department would not work without my colleagues from a lot of these departments. But in India, for some reason, generally they're not as highly regarded as medical professionals. But when I worked abroad, there's a lot of value for people who had these backgrounds. So as the situation states, we cannot change reality. The reality is that these courses have got a lot more value in countries abroad than in India. So, but for my ICU to run well, I rely a lot on people who have come from a lot of these backgrounds: physician assistants, critical care practitioners. They all form a part of my team, and in my team, I value their contribution a lot. So thank you. I think it's question time, and without much ado, let's see what the questions are being asked by the participants here.
Thank you, sir, for throwing light on the various topics and stressing upon the values. It means a lot. Information coming out from a specialist in the field, it is really valuable. The forum is now open for a question and answer session. May I request Dr. Preeti to direct the questions to the panelists? I think the session was crystal clear and there is very little scope, but still we would expect questions. And yes, madam. Yes, ma'am. Please take over.
Namaste, everyone. So the first question is to Ayush. If once one gets a seat allotted via All India quota, can they try again for another college, or should they stick to the seat allotted during round 1? Yes, Ayush, please continue. Yes, you are audible, but your voice is slightly low.
So what we through All India Counseling, the round 1, whatever seat we get, we can only upgrade or we can free exit the seat. Because if we don't like the seat, we can free exit the seat, and we are still in the count for the round 2 counseling, and where we can opt, where we can change the our priority list. But after you get for round 2 counseling, you cannot exit the seat no matter what.
Thank you, Ayushji. Another question was, in case they get a seat allotted via All India quota and they join in it, can they leave the seat and go for the state seat allotted in the state quota?
No, ma'am. Like once you get, you are not allowed to leave the counseling. Like you will have to pay a large amount of money for that. I think so. A very large amount of money. So you cannot leave the counseling after you get round 2 seat allotted in round 2, ma'am.
Okay, in round 1, in case they join, they can exit and go to the state quota. Is our understanding correct, Ayushji?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And also they can continue for All India counseling for other colleges.
Okay. The next question, is it allowed to select a single choice or college during All India counseling? From Balakartik ji. How, like, is it only one choice can they choose, or it will be like several choices they need to give?
You can choose more than 100 colleges also, ma'am. You can choose, but the priority of colleges you choose. For example, I can choose MMC, Stanley, AFMC, JIPMER, AIMS Delhi, AIMS Jodhpur, AIMS, all. But the priority of the college I will put as 1, 2, 3. I want AIMS Delhi as first, JIPMER as second, MMC as third. It's like that. And based on your priority and based on your merit in that particular college, you will get the seat.
Thank you, Ji. Please elaborate on the free exit rule in round 1 All India counseling. What is the free exit rule, Ji?
So free exit rule is that you have put a particular college for the All India counseling as a choice, but when you get you don't want that college, so you just free exit. So there is no harm in free exiting. Your fees will be given to you back, and then also you are eligible to participate in round 2 counseling as well as state counseling. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Dr. Sridhar sir, there is a question, is NCC present in medical colleges? If so, how is it different from other colleges?
What does NCC stand for?
The National Cadet Corps, NCC, as in schools, is it available in medical colleges?
I studied medicine quite a while back, but I do remember being part of NCC at that point. In fact, I remember taking a .303 rifle and firing at the firing range as part of my NCC training. But it was not a big part of the training. We did go on a few NCC conducted outings, but it was not a big part of my my training at that point.
Thank you, sir. Now the question is to Amitesh ji. Dr. Amitesh, how easy or tough is to get a domicile certificate? Can you elaborate on that process?
Yes, ma'am. The process is actually quite simple. It just takes time. The process as such is not cumbersome. I also saw a question that someone has applied and it's 8 days since they have applied and they've still not got the eligibility certificate. There is nothing to panic. If once you have applied, it is their duty to give the eligibility certificate. But once they start the process of application, I feel you can call and you can urge them to give it faster. As of now, there is nothing to panic. Once you go into the website, if you just Google eligibility certificate for Tamil Nadu MBBS, it will get into the Tamil Nadu Dr. MGR University website. It will go to the place where you have to apply. There'll be two choices. One is EC and other one is domicile certificate. The process is not cumbersome, but it will take time. You have to just get all the DD, the documents they ask, you have to upload it and you have to send the DD. The process as such is not cumbersome.
Regarding the domicile certificate?
The domicile certificate is only for those who have studied who have done their schooling in different states other than Tamil Nadu. It is mandatory that you should have done your schooling from 8th standard to 12th standard in Tamil Nadu to be a part of the counseling process. If you have come to Tamil Nadu only during your 10th standard, you will not even be eligible to get into the counseling. The brochure, the eligibility criteria will also be coming in the brochure. The brochure is free to download. You need not pay any money to download the brochure. So I advise every student to download the brochure first and then the application. Then you can pay 500 AD and download the application. You can, in the brochure, the eligibility criteria will be there. The year which I got into in 2017, it was mandatory only that you should have completed 10 +1 +2 education in Tamil Nadu. But from the next year, they made it 8. Then they said they are going to make it from 6th standard, but I'm not sure if they have made it from 6th standard. But as of my knowledge, it is from 8th standard to 12th standard. You should have completed your education here. If you have done your education elsewhere, that is from your LKG to 7th standard, you need a domicile certificate to state that you have then been in Tamil Nadu. That is it. It's not.
And where do they apply for the domicile certificate, Amitesh ji?
The domicile certificate should also be applied to the Tamil Nadu MGR University website. There'll be 2 options. The first option will be eligibility certificate. The second option will be domicile certificate. You can choose on either of the options. The options will guide you whether you are eligible to apply for the domicile certificate, whether you need a domicile certificate. If you fall into any one of the categories mentioned, then you can apply. If you feel you don't need a domicile certificate after reading the categories, then you need not apply. But I suggest that every student who is aspiring to sit for the counseling to go through both the criteria for eligibility certificate and domicile certificate. As of my understanding, anyone who has completed their 12th standard from CBSE must get an eligibility certificate. Last year, people skipped. They thought I need not get an eligibility certificate because anyway I have returned my 12th in Tamil Nadu. No, though you have returned it in Tamil Nadu, if it is any other exam other than HSC, Higher Secondary School Certificate, in CBSE, I guess it is AISSCE. So if you have an AISSCE certificate, then they will definitely expect an eligibility certificate.
Thank you, Ji. And this answers that question in the chat box as well, which is I studied in state board till 10th standard and shifted to CBSE last year. Should I still apply for the eligibility certificate?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am, if I may add one more point.
Yes, Ji, please.
For the question which was previously answered by Mr. Ayush Botra, I just want to give one point which is pertaining to Tamil Nadu alone. In Tamil Nadu, once you opt a seat in All India quota, you are not allowed to state quota counseling. You will not be allowed. So if you you pay 10,000 rupees for the All India quota, you opt a seat. Do not go and report to the college. If you want to sit for the state quota counseling, do not go and report to the college. Once you go and report to the college, you will not be allowed to sit for the state quota counseling. Be it round 1, be it round 2. Once you report to the college, you will not be allowed to sit in the state quota counseling. So if you are applying for both All India quota and state quota, I wish you can go to the last year's cutoff and just apply for one of the either counseling. It is always risky to apply for both because I have my own classmates who got state ranks were 15-10 for them. They were toppers. But the year I came into the medical college, there was a confusion whether it is NEET or the +2 mark. So what they did to be on the safer side, they went to All India quota. They got allotted for Omandura. But a state rank of 15 can walk into MMC freely, but they missed the option. So it's better to apply for one or either All India or state quota. But if you wish to choose for both, this is the procedure. 10,000 you pay, you opt for a college, don't report for the college. If you feel the college is not up to your mark, if you feel you want to sit for the state quota counseling, do not report to the college. The 10,000 will not come back to you. The paid 10,000 is not refundable. You come for the state quota, you sit for the state quota. But you pay 10,000, you do not even opt a college. If you opt a college, the 10,000 is not refundable. But after you have applied for All India quota, you feel that you don't want to sit for the All India quota counseling. Just don't opt for any colleges. Let the rounds get completed. After 2 to 3 months, they will refund the 10,000 back. If you don't opt, it is refundable. But once you opt, whether you take the college, whether you go for the state quota counseling, the 10,000 will not be refunded.
One more question on this, Amitesh ji. In case
Yes,
they go for the All India counseling and they get a college outside Tamil Nadu and
Yes,
they report to the college, will then also be their they cannot attend the state counseling or
yes,
it's only
ma'am. No, ma'am. Any college you get allotted under All India quota in any state or union territory, in Tamil Nadu, you are not allowed to sit for the counseling, ma'am. In Karnataka, they are allowed. It's the state's discretion. In Tamil Nadu, it's from 2016, there is a long notion that people from Tamil Nadu are not getting enough seats. People from other states are taking seats. So to curb all these things, they have brought in laws like from 6th standard to 12th standard you should have completed. They are making it strict only because of this. There's nothing else. In other states, I guess there is a provision. Even if there are certain states where in Chhattisgarh you can go and report to the college, and then if you feel you want to sit for the counseling, you can go. You can write a letter that you want all your documents back. They will give it to you back. So it depends from state to state. In Tamil Nadu, once you opt, you will not. Once you report to the college, you will not be allowed to sit for the counseling. Once you opt, 10,000 fee will not be refunded in any state of India. That is the central government's discretion. Once you opt, your 10,000 will not be refunded.
And another question is, this one is, if I get a seat in medical college, but later I gain interest in some other course, is it possible to quit the course?
In Tamil Nadu, you have to pay 40 lakhs to quit the course.
For the All India quota? For the All India quota, ji?
Any quota in Tamil Nadu, you have to pay 40 lakhs. Once the All India quota, the state quota discretion is only till you enter the college. Once you enter the college, you come under the Tamil Nadu Dr. MGR University. So all the rules will apply for both of them. Only the verification process changes, even during the admission to MBBS, as well as finally getting the registration number also. The All India quota, state quota plays a small role. There is a difference to get the registration from Tamil Nadu Medical Council, but throughout the course of 5.5 years, they will be treated equally now. So if you want to leave the course, if you want to quit the course, you have to pay 40 lakhs, or else if you don't show up for the course for more than 4 months or something, they'll take it as absconded and it's an offense.
Okay, thank you, Ji. And first, if you write NEET, but if you don't get a proper result, then can we join in a college for some other course? But can we write again NEET the next year? Is that possible?
Yes, ma'am. You can write NEET whenever you want. Even I have students, because when I got into that year, it was made all NEET, no +2 marks. So a lot of people from other courses also. I have a classmate who has completed BSc zoology and some advanced zoology, some BSc. He is now studying MBBS. I have a classmate who has completed engineering and then he has come to medicine. It is a personal discretion. When I dropped a year, I did not take up any course because I felt I really needed the time to sit and prepare. But also a small advice, with the racing cutoff, 722 people have got 720 this year. Next year, even more people will get full marks. It's better that you sit and study. If you really want MBBS, do not join other courses and waste time. Sit and study for NEET and you can get it. If you feel that you can handle, because throughout the course of 1 year, any course you join, even if it's going to be arts or science, you will have some semester, you will have an allied paper, you will have to study for that also. So it's better that you dedicate it to one, but there is no restriction. It's a personal choice. If you feel you can prepare, you can definitely go for any course.
Since you touched on the cutoff, there's a question. If we need to join MMC, CMC or Stanley, what is the cutoff needed? The general.
Sorry, ma'am. Ma'am, your voice was not heard. Sorry, ma'am. Can you please repeat?
No, what is the cutoff for MMC, Stanley and CMC? What is the general cutoff?
CMC, the cutoff is usually high, ma'am, for Christian Medical College, Vellore, as well as Ludhiana. Both the CMCs, the cutoff is very high. From Ayush Botra, I can see he got 655. 655 is a very high mark. But in CMC, for second round, the cutoff decreases because most of them opt out of CMC after a bond period, because of the bond. In CMC, there is a bond. After MBBS, you have to work for 2 years in CMC. You will not be allowed to do post-graduation. You have to work for 2 more years. So even people who have gotten high marks sometimes opt out of CMC because of this bond. So in the second round counseling, maybe the cutoff might dip to around 600, but usually the cutoff is more than 600 for CMC. That being said, for MMC and Stanley, more than cutoff, I would say the rank, the state rank of first 400 will only get into MMC and Stanley. 400 to 600, 400 to 500 will get into Stanley. In the year I got into, my rank was 545. I was not having the choice of Stanley, MMC or KMC. It was all the seats were filled in All India quota and state quota. So rank wise, it will be from rank number 1 to 500 usually. Cutoff wise, every year it changes. This year, since 300 more seats have been added from 2 different medical colleges, 150 each, I feel the cutoff will go down A little bit.
And please help to clarify on economically weaker section quota, EWS quota.
Ma'am, EWS quota, still the Tamil Nadu government has challenged it in the court. There is no the clear picture on EWS quota till now, ma'am. Whether they are going to take it from 7.5% from the OC category or 7.5% in each category is not clear for Tamil Nadu alone, because already Tamil Nadu has a standing reservation of 69%. So even if they are going to add 7.5 more, then there is, I think the open category will just get squashed. So I don't know from where they are taking that 7.5% up until now. And as such, there is also another reservation for government school candidates in Tamil Nadu. Already there is a 7.5 reservation in each category. So I feel for Tamil Nadu, they will only the brochure will get the exact details. I hope that they do not take that 7.5 from the open competition quota, but I am not sure about EWS.
Thank you, Ji. There are two questions, similar questions. If I studied till 10th standard in another state, but did my 11th and 12th here, and if my parents belong to Tamil Nadu, will I be eligible for a domicile?
I guess yes, ma'am. If you have an address here, if you have a ration card here, I feel you will be eligible. But anyway, please look up to the criteria. If this year, if they are telling from 8th standard to 12th standard, if you should have studied in Tamil Nadu, then they will not be eligible. Also, I saw the question. About the NCC question. In government colleges of Tamil Nadu, there is no NCC now.
I think now it has been, when we were there, it was there. I think now it has been taken.
Okay. We have other organizations. Once they get into, they can form their own clubs, eco club, any club they want, blood donor society. We have those in our college. Each college has, MMC has a well-established eco club. That is just under the college one. As far as my knowledge, NCC is not there now, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And with the All India quota, if I get a seat in Tamil Nadu, do I still need to have studied in Tamil Nadu from 8th to 12th? And should I still get a domicile certificate?
No, ma'am. This rule does not apply to All India quota counseling. It applies only to state quota counseling. In All India quota counseling, only people from Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, Telangana, they have separate rules. All the others, they have the same rules. I'm not sure. The central government has said that the special status of Jammu and Kashmir has been taken. I'm not sure about that, but only those three states have to worry. From Tamil Nadu, there is no problem. All India quota or All India quota, you can get a seat in Tamil Nadu or elsewhere. You need not have domicile or eligibility.
Please clarify on the creamy layer criteria. Yes, the last question. Please tell about the creamy layer criteria.
Ma'am, the creamy layer criteria applies only to All India quota, ma'am. It does not apply to the state quota. The creamy layer criteria applies only to other categories. In All India quota, the division of categories is different. It is OC, OBC, SC, ST. In Tamil Nadu, the division of category is OC, BC, and then you have from BC a small sect called BCM, that is backward caste Muslims, and then you have MBC, and then you have SC, SCA. From SC, there is one small segment SCA. Then you have ST. So these are this is the classification for MBBS admission. I'm not sure about other courses. For MBBS, this is the classification. In All India quota, it is only OC, OBC, SC, ST. So the creamy layer applies only to OBC, SC, and ST. It is nothing but if your parent is working in a central government institution or a state government institution, you are considered to be one from the creamy layer. And also if the turnover, if your parents' income is more than a bar, I'm not sure about the figures, but if it is more than a bar, you will consider to be creamy layer. Once you are creamy layer, you will be segregated. OBC creamy layer, SC creamy layer, ST creamy layer. This creamy layer category comes only for OBC, SC, ST. It will not come for OC. It's just that the cutoff will rise probably 5 to 6 marks. From the OBC creamy layer will have, the cutoff will be 5-6 marks higher than the OBC layer. Sometimes the OBC creamy layer will be merged with open category. If the parent is an IAS officer or working as a gazetted officer in central government institution, OBC creamy layer will be merged with OC.
Thank you, Amitesh ji. And in case the question, in case the aspiring MBBS candidates need to contact you, is there a way to contact you? You can put it in the chat box so that.
Definitely, ma'am. I'll give my email ID in the chat box. They can
Yes,
mail me, ma'am.
yes.
I'll
Yes, now I'll pass it on to Lakshmi ma'am to continue. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for presenting the questions to the panelists. It is time to pay our gratitude. Gratitude is the highest form of return gift one can plan. We now welcome Srimati Uma Parvati, Principal DAV Boys Senior Secondary School, Mogappair, to present the vote of thanks.
Namaste. Namaste, all of you. I take this opportunity to thank the DAV management under the able guidance of Sri Vikas Arya ji, our secretary, and our director, Srimati Shanti Ashokan ma'am, for organizing such a wonderful webinar and having with us Dr. Sridhar, critical care consultant, Kaveri Hospital, who really elaborated on the major factors and the personal factors to be considered while joining or choosing medical colleges, along with budding doctors, Shri Amitesh Krishna and Mr. Ayush Bhutra, medical students, for giving a detailed insight into counseling. I also wish to thank Mr. Karthikeyan and Srimati Lakshmi Ramesh for organizing this webinar, and also Mrs. Lakshmi, PGT Chemistry, for introducing the guests. I would like to inform all of you that the next upcoming webinar will be on 4th December, and the speaker is Mr. R. Chandrasekhar, Cyber Security Analyst, and the topic will be Information and Cyber Security Opportunities. I wish all of you would join for the upcoming webinar on 4th December. Once again, I take this opportunity to thank the DAV management and all the speakers, and last but not the least, the parents and our dear students, and Dr. Preeti for holding the question and answer session. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, ma'am.
Namaste. Namaste.
Recording link will be shared on the website.
Excuse me, can I have a minute, ma'am?
Yeah, please.
Yes.
Please.
I also would like to thank the management, Shanti Ashokan ma'am, for giving me this opportunity, and Preeti ma'am for guiding me through the PPT. Thank you so much, ma'am, and Karthik sir for all the IT. I had a technical glitch. I was not able to join at first. Thank you so much, everybody. It's an honor to me to speak in front of Sridhar sir, a very highly distinguished person in the fraternity. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to everybody. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Amitesh ji. Thank you once again for your presence. May I end the session, ma'am?
Thank you. Thank you all. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste, doctor. Namaste.
Namaste.